Wasky Squirrel here. I'm doing this video kind of in honor of Bullfrog. While he's in the process of moving, I thought I'd try and do a video in his style and have some sort of a railroad interest to it. So in North Dakota, which is where I am, I'm headed down Highway 12. Coming up is a town that was created because of trains. This is Griffin, North Dakota. It is abandoned. But towns were set up, they were spaced for the steam engines. And of course, as the diesel came along, a lot of them dried up, and then as rail has changed, even more drying up has happened. So yeah, nobody lives in Griffin anymore. This is Rame, another rail town. This was about 150 people. It is, and you'll notice I like to do little subscripts. So in my video description, I have all kinds of extra links and so on. 150 people. Used to be bigger. They used to have their own school. Now the high school is closed. Elementary school is open, but it's part of another school district where they send their high school students. I'm pulling off in Rame to get gas, and then I'll pull back out on Highway 12 and continue to head west because we're going to go see the Fairview Lift Bridge, which is a neat railroad thing. And by the way, Rame is a railroad town. I won't do it, but if I were to cross into Rame, I have to go over several sets of tracks. So anyway, pulled into Senex to get some gas here. So headed west, sorry about that, headed west out of Rame now, past some wind turbines. They are, yeah, it's kind of a growing industry here in North Dakota. You get some pushback, but actually a lot of the pushback seems to come from out of state, and in state it's very right-wing pushback. Can't have renewable energy when God meant us to burn coal and oil or whatever. But the neat thing is, as you head west from Rame is right here. You suddenly descend into the Badlands. Now, I wish I had a better camera. I use just a cheap dash cam. The dash cam flattens everything because of the short focal length, and it makes it seem further away. But this is glorious Badlands country here. I love driving this area. And it's even prettier when it's green, but of course we're in the middle of a drought, so yeah, you'll have to work that one out. Oh, my neighbor's mowing lawn. I wonder if the microphone's going to pick that up. I have not mowed my lawn probably since July because, yeah, no river. No water. It's drought. Which, by the way, in Marmarth is, and I said it correctly, Marmarth is, you're going over the Little Missouri River, which is almost bone dry. Like I said, it's a drought. My neighbor waters his lawn, obviously. Why waste good water on a stretch of grass? I don't know, but hey, he gives me his grass clippings for my garden, so I'll take that, because it needs all the insulation it can get this year. But anyway, that's the old Marmarth depot. There have been kind of spurts where they've tried to save it, and they've done some work just to stop it deteriorating more. I don't know what the eventual plan is, but there you go. So I thought I'd just give you a spin through Marmarth. Of course, with such shrinkage, there's a lot of changes to Marmarth, a lot of them not good. Abandoned houses, poorly maintained houses, there's a lot of poverty, some social issues. At the same time, a lot of pride in their town. A lot of people are proud to be from Marmarth, and will tell you so quite clearly. And you better not say anything bad about their town either. So I guess you take the good with the bad. And, there's some very nice houses here. Over here on the left is this Marmarth School. They actually, during the oil boom, did a small addition. Now that the oil has gone, I think some are questioning whether the addition was a good idea or not, but that's a story for them to tell, not for me to tell. But, grades K through 8 are educated in that building. And then they go to high school elsewhere. By the way, that there on the right, I've wondered if that's the old school. By the way, Marmarth has kids grades kindergarten up through 8th grade. A lot of the high school students go over to Baker, Montana. But over the years, I've had a few come my way. I won't mention any names, but... So, Marmarth has shrunk quite a lot. At one time, this was a town of 1,500 people. It is now, like I said, 150. had to do with the changes in the railroad. I'm going to go through the area where there was a turntable and a roundhouse. That's gone. I have friends, obviously older friends, who remember leading cattle drives down to Marmarth where they'd load the cattle onto the train for shipping to, the slaughter plants elsewhere. And, along the Little Missouri River and so on, it's just a different world, and there's still people alive that remember it. I think Marmarth is a very pretty town. I love these tree-lined streets. In my town, you're supposed to keep your trees 20 feet away from the street, and the streets are wider. I like this. But again, I grew up on the East Coast, which is how I got into Bullfrog's videos, and it's very hard to adjust. That is the Catholic Church in Marmarth. They actually share their, what are they called? Priests? Fathers? Pastors? I'm not Catholic and not very religious. Whatever they call them. They share him with Rame and Bowman as well. He lives in Bowman, so I guess he comes out to Marmarth once a week. I'm not sure how that all works, but anyway, nice church. And then, of course, only the main street in Marmarth and the highway going through Marmarth are paved. All the other streets are unpaved. So that's kind of a unique thing as well. Neat 4th of July parade here. So, still trying. We're going to approach up here a small church. It's the Marmarth Bible Church. It was actually restarted by a gentleman from, let's just say down south. Not the U.S. South, just south of where Marmarth is. He drove through Marmarth on kind of a random road trip with a friend, and the friend said, hey, let's make sure we add North Dakota to our list of states we hit. And he saw this church and he decided to reopen it. You should see it here on the left in just a minute. I don't know what their congregation size is, but it's they have put a handicapped entrance into the basement. They've shored up a lot of stuff at the foundation. They have actually done a lot of work. Yeah, you just saw it. They've actually done a lot of work on the church, which is kind of cool. Again, I don't know what size congregation he has, but interesting just that somebody would drive through and randomly have that idea. And this is a gentleman in his 70s who's dedicated his retirement life to getting this church restarted. I admire that kind of dedication. So we're coming down here to Main Street, Marmarth. At one time, Marmarth had 1,500 people. The building to your left is called the Barber Auditorium. The main floor had like stores and stuff. The upper floor, was an auditorium and opera house kind of thing. This is a town built by the railroad. There used to be a huge roundhouse in Marmarth. I think I told you all about the cattle drives that used to come down here. But there was a roundhouse, a turntable. But then the town, neat theater there on the right. Really neat restaurant there on your right. But the town just started to die off, and nowadays there's not much left. I'm going to turn here. I'm going to go actually past where the roundhouse was. There's no sign left of it. Right there on your right, that was a bunkhouse for railroad workers. It's actually still a bunkhouse, but now it serves oil field workers. And again, somewhere in here, there was a roundhouse. This was quite an amazing town at one time. But new technology, new whatever, changed all that. So let's get back out on the highway, back out on Highway 12 here. There is an antique car museum right there. Definitely a lot of money involved in that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross the railroad, and then I'm going to head into uncharted territory. I'm going to head up the old Highway 16, and I'm actually going to continue on Highway 16 till the highway entirely comes to an end in North Dakota. And that will be a more traditional Wasky Squirrel type driving series of driving videos. As I said, I'm kind of editing footage together just to fill in the gap while Bullfrog is busy with moving. See, here we're on the bridge crossing the railroad tracks. But I just felt like this is, well, it was an interesting challenge to edit it this way, and I just thought it was worth sharing this. So hopefully if there are any Bullfrog watchers watching this, I live up to his expectations. So yeah, just turn north on Highway 16. I'll let this run for a minute, but then I'll heavily edit this. Let me just say it is, I want to say 37 miles to Galva, North Dakota, and it is like this, or worse. This is a minimal maintenance road, which means do not drive it in bad weather. This isn't as bad as it used to be. When I first started driving this road, it used to have 2 low water crossings, by which I mean places where the water ran across the road and you only drove through that area when the water was low. And yes, I did do that in my Toyota Camry, but only when the water was low. I turned around once. So, Highway 16. Oh, looks like somebody in a 1950s car had a car accident there. So the southernmost part of Highway 16 does lead through the Badlands, and it makes for a really cool drive. But keep in mind that this road is very windy, very twisty, and rural. As in, if your car breaks down, good luck! Seriously, good luck finding anybody to help you. Good luck getting cell phone service. So those of you who are fans of my more traditional driving videos, that will recognize that I'm definitely editing a lot out of this. This is rural in the truest sense of the word. One thing you may notice is different about my driving from Bullfrogs is I am hardcore rural. This is an area that it's open range grazing, which means the cattle just wander across the roads. We have like these cattle guards like this. For some reason the cattle don't like to walk across. So they're right there along the road. By the way, on your left is Pretty Butte. Pretty Butte was, it had a lot of significance in the Native American culture. They believed that baby souls lived in Pretty Butte until they found a host. Teddy Roosevelt himself actually shot one of the bison close to Pretty Butte, and that's where he came up with the idea of national parks, because he realized, hey, that experience that I've had is just about gone. So Pretty Butte is it's pretty. So this isn't Pretty Butte, but a little more Badlands. I love this whole landscape just because there's nothing like it. I grew up on the East Coast where everything was trees and there had a lot more rain, and yeah, it's just so alien. Not exactly desert, but not exactly open prairie either. It's just cool. And somewhere close to here, I don't recall exactly where, was one of the low water crossings. But you can see the layers in the rock here. See? Layers. And there's a lot of dinosaur excavation along here. In fact, you won't see it in this video, but in some of my videos, my full driving videos, whenever I get them uploaded, you'll see some porta potties for dinosaur excavation. Alright, another neat Badlands location. One of the things I like about Highway 16 is you're in the Badlands. At the state parks and national parks in Teddy Roosevelt, you're looking at the Badlands. In this highway, you're in them. You're going between buttes. you are right there. Another thing you'll see in this area, which I don't show in this video, is that you'll actually see coal. Exposed veins of coal just kind of laying out there. I interviewed at a school north of here, and they talked about the possibility of opening a coal mine in this area. They didn't give me the job, which is just as well. From things I've learned since then, I think I'm happier where I'm at. But it's the one and only school that ever rejected me for a job. But yeah, it's just such a neat area. All right, what the hell? Here's where the porta potties are. My guess is that there's a dinosaur dig close to this location. And then abruptly you're brought up to this. This is a very sharp hairpin turn on a very steep slope. And all of a sudden, you're out of the Badlands. Badlands make I will call it a scar across North Dakota. But on this highway, you leave them. You'll still be in Slope County for a while. But this kind of road, the reason I'm putting this in here is this does not happen in North Dakota. There's no reason for hairpin turns in North Dakota unless you're out west. See, and now we're out of the Badlands. You can still see them from this location, but we're out of them. And a lot of the route, which I'm going to censor out of the video, continues in this vein where you're just in open prairie and it's not Badlands. Instead, it's, I'd call it a rolling prairie with buttes and some trees and so on, just like this. And pretty quick here we'll get into Golden Valley County, and the road will improve there. And yeah, we'll head through Galva and then Beach. And slightly before Galva, this road becomes a paved road. Of course, I wasn't the only sightseer along this road. This guy just stopped dead several times, and he stopped again right here, and I'm just like, okay, do I go around you? And yeah, I did. Talk to him later. You'll see my video footage from the sign where I talked to him. You won't see me talking to him, but yeah, he was actually admiring an old vehicle that was parked out in the field there. So this is the corner. There's several roads meet in an awkward way, and there's a really awkward road sign there to explain it all. And this is where I talked to the driver of that truck. It's kind of a crazy corner, and a road sign like this does not belong in a flat state like North Dakota, but there it is. And then I continued on. After talking to the driver of the truck. See, there he goes, after talking to me. So you continue north for a while on the gravel. It's well maintained. He headed off in a different direction than I will. But you eventually, right here, kind of around that white building, the road, it's paved! And the rest of the route will be paved, except for I am actually taking an excursion onto gravel way later in the video, but not on Highway 16. So, yeah, it's like this all the way to Galva. Galva isn't much. It still has an elementary school, and it's has a few businesses, but it is really shrunken, let's say, from what it... Yeah, and there we go. You can tell when you're approaching a town because there's trees. So they planted trees in Galva, and I'm not going to take you down the main street. I do have other driving videos where I do take you down the main street. I take you past the school and so on. We're just going to stick on the highway here and head up to Beach. But I've always kind of wondered what it would be like to live in a town like this and watch your school dry up, watch your people disappear, watch your businesses close. and be left as a husk of what you used to be. There's been a little building in Galva thanks to oil. A few people moved there because of cheap housing, but even so, it is still tiny. And what's that like? I honestly don't have that experience. Of course, you drive in North Dakota, you're bound to run into agricultural machinery. Luckily, I was able to pass this guy, this combine. And another thing that was ahead of him that was also agricultural. And funny story, I stopped at a gas station in Beach, and I will pass him again. So, of course, Beach, North Dakota it's a small town. It's smaller than the town I live in. I'd say there's like 350 kids in their whole school, K-12. We're coming in on, I don't remember what the name of this road is, but I don't really care. Beach has a downtown. Beach is located along the interstate, so it's pretty easy to drive over to Dickinson or Medora. I was impressed by Beach when I visited because they had a cool Mexican restaurant, but the Mexican restaurant is no more. It's an attractive town. It just has a lot of churches in it if you're into that kind of thing. At the time I interviewed here, I would have been into that kind of thing, but not anymore. On the whole, I think I did well not getting the job in Beach. Skip forward a little bit. So, Main Street in Beach kind of does an L, and then the grocery store is kind of off at random in a different location. When I do my full driving video, I'll show you the whole thing here. But, Beach is a clean town. But I think I'm in a better one. So driving down Main Street Beach, some of the stores are empty, kind of like my town. Some are full. No, it's not one of those scenic, pretty downtowns, but it has businesses. Up ahead here is a brick grain elevator, which is very uncommon. They exist in North Dakota, but there's not many of them. So I don't know if it's in use. We already passed the area where most of the grain elevators were, but it looks cool, and I'm glad it's there. I would love if Beach could find a way to use it to keep it alive, because in the setting sun, that thing's gorgeous. And of course, right here, there's a small gray building to your left that is the grocery store. Not on Main Street, I guess walkable from Main Street, but I kind of think if I would have lived in this town, it's not as walkable as the town I live in. But then again, the town I live in has started to move everything out of town, so I guess it's not that walkable either. I'm going to keep driving north here, and we'll get to the high school. So I am a high school teacher, so I'm always interested in the schools and the towns I visit. I interviewed at this school. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous school, and inside is amazing. But I will also say that for all it has gone for it, I do think even though my school isn't quite as nice, I think I'm happier where I'm at now than I would have been if I'd gotten this job. And Beach holds the record of being the only school I've ever interviewed at that turned me down for a job. So that was before I got on social media and started spouting off all my stupid ideas. So I'm pulling into the gas station here at the Flying J. This was about the time, well, back in rain when I gassed up, I realized that I'd left my sandwich and everything that I was going to have for lunch on the kitchen counter at home and didn't bring it with me. So I pulled into Flying J to just grab myself a sandwich. It's a truck stop. It's nothing special. And when I pulled out, there's the combine I passed earlier. Whoops! So as I headed north, doggone it, I passed him again. So I headed north on Highway 16, and Highway 16 looks a lot like this. Do not break down on this road, because there's nobody there to help you. But occasionally, as you're driving along, you do run into a town like beautiful, scenic Trotters, North Dakota. You can see the white of the church there. So I'm going to pull over and explore this fantastic little town. And you're saying, what? Did he say town? All I see is a church. Oh wait, I see something else. Yeah, that's it. That's all that's left of Trotters, North Dakota. Just 2 abandoned buildings. I thought the church had something in it, but even the church is abandoned. It's all abandoned. This is Trotters, North Dakota, and we're going to explore it. I am in beautiful downtown Trotters, North Dakota, looking at the one business that still exists, but it's shut down. It's a gas station. We take a look at the pump here. It was clearly a Sinclair station. That's the dinosaur that eats the tiger. Remember, put a tiger in your tank, Exxon. Gas, how cheap was the gas? $1.25 a gallon? Or is that, okay, so that's not too long ago. I bet that's in my lifetime. I remember for a brief time in the late 90s, 89-cent gas in Pennsylvania. Oh, now here's I didn't notice that the last time I came this way. This is leaded gasoline. If somebody knows the age of this thing, that would be swell. And then, of course, whoops, I didn't mean to zoom. This is the gas station, such as it is. I'm told that the last owner of the place would leave the pump unlocked at night so that people could get gas and then pay for it later on the honor system. But the prairie is taking it back slowly, but it's getting there. I'm going to walk over to the only other building in Trotters, which is the church. So you can see there is a church over here. I have been told that it's still in use. I don't know if that's true. Not a whole lot of traffic today. I had one truck pass me since I stopped here. I'm going to go with the church is no longer in service. That's not the look of a church that's in use. I will say though that this church has been shown some love. The paint is in pretty good shape. I just, you don't block up a door like that if it's unopened and letting these stairs fall apart like this. Although that looks like it got hit, doesn't it? I don't know the story there. Ooh! Somebody's living here. Or was. Of course, the temptation is to go inside, but it is a private, it's not mine. But maybe you can see inside there is stuff. Somebody's going to step on this. I'm going to move that. On the other side, you have a basement entrance. For some of these churches, they'd have like a fellowship hall down in the basement or something. But yeah, this is looking very not in use. As much as I am curious, I'm going to respect that the door is blocked shut with that piece of wood. I'm pretty sure it's there just to keep the door from blowing open and flapping around. Probably they had the idea that maybe when more people move here, we'll restart church, but I'm going to respect, like I said, that it's private property. Much as I'm very curious to go inside, I'm walking backwards towards the highway. But I don't think there's too much to worry about unless I trip over something. And one last look, there's the gas station. There's Camry. So Trotters was once a town. And then we continue north, and there's nothing. A few ranches. It's actually pretty country, and as you go north, it gets more interesting. And we'll get to the highlight of Highway 16, in my opinion, which is Squaw Gap. I had correspondence with a teacher here probably 10 years ago. She had 2 students at the time. I don't even know if the school's still open. I will let you judge for yourself. But Squaw Gap, again, 2 buildings, but the difference is inhabited buildings that are in use. Plus a couple outbuildings, I guess. I forgot to mention them. Oops, awkward. Okay. So, parking. I know this will make you all jealous. I am here in inner city, Squaw Gap, North Dakota. That is the school. I know it used to have 2 students. I don't know what's going on now. We'll take a look at it here in a minute. Beautiful, beautiful location. And then there is the Squaw Gap Community Center, which I'm guessing is like a gym and maybe a meeting area or something. Also, I forgot to mention, I think they must all get their mail here. Everybody that lives in the area. Just so you know, I'm not making it up. Definitely not a PC name for a town. And I did notice that there is no signage on the road to say, hey, you're in Squaw Gap now. So this may be an unofficial name for this settlement. There's some traffic. I don't know that there is much going on at the school. I'm even more certain that it is now closed. It's just, how do you justify a school like that, pay a teacher? You know, I know they probably have no debts left, but that's hard just to do economically. One perk, they did provide housing to their teacher, so then you don't have to pay as much, but you still have utilities and so on, so I'm not sure where the win is. It sure looks like somebody has been around. I mean, there's a swimming pool kind of thing. And an old playground. Kind of grown up. But they've sprayed weed killer. So, I don't know, maybe there's some kids that are going to run the school. I really have no idea. Of course, one of the things I love about Squaw Gap is this beautiful landscape. It's down in a valley. You might see the reddish rock at the top of all these buttes. That's scoria, which is a clay that's been baked by underground coal fires. They use it a lot. Actually, the parking lot for the rec center is all scoria, or sorry, multi-purpose center. And there's Camry. And here's the rest of the valley. They say you should foot zoom rather than walk, but I'm not walking up to where the bell is. I'd need a ladder. So there's the bell. And there's just a close-up at the top of the butte. Sorry, I am not foot zooming. So yeah, I wonder sometimes what it would be like to live in a location like this. I don't know. There's a big piece of me who loves the idea of living out somewhere on your own where you're alone and you don't have the sounds of vehicles and people around you. But then I also know that I don't have the best social skills, so it's probably good for me to live in an area where there are people. What's it like for kids to grow up here? And then, surprise, let's go visit the real world. You know, I don't know. So now we continue north on Highway 16. This is a totally different road from the southern end where it's all Badlands and not paved and really extremely primitive. But at the same time, this is an area that's very empty. There just are not a lot of people living up here. You also have quite a spectacular landscape. I debated a bit whether do I include this bit of footage or not. And I included it basically because I thought I want to show just how empty this countryside is. I passed a few ranches, but really, there just wasn't a whole hell of a lot of stuff up here. And that's a problem that North Dakota just needs to deal with is, we have aspirations of bigger and better things, but the truth is there just aren't a lot of people that live here or want to live here or even can live here. Of course, all good things must come to an end, and Highway 16 is about to come to an end. It's probably one of the least populated parts of the state. It is, There's a dam and a lake right here on your right. I can't remember what its name is. I don't care. We're about to head west on Highway, I believe, 68. If you can read that sign there, it actually tells you what highway. And so exciting. I was getting closer to my destination, but I wasn't there yet. There's just... Anywhere you visit North Dakota, it is just a drive. I don't enjoy that. I wish everything was closer, but it's true. It's all a drive. You don't have things that are close together in a rural state like North Dakota. And this whole trip was actually a full day trip if you watch my timestamps. As I'm driving along, hey, woo, look, there's a lake. Passed a few lakes on the way, by the way. Not a natural lake. A lot of them are made by dams or whatever, but hey, there they are. So you continue on this road for a while, and then eventually, about a mile from the Montana state line, you turn north on County Road number 1, also known as the Cheney Creek Road. Hopefully not named after Dick Cheney, but I don't know. You turn north, and for the first part of this road, it is not paved. And yeah, I could have taken a different route, but I wanted to take this route. I wanted to see the countryside. I wanted to go along the Little Missouri River, the Yellowstone River. So that's why I went this way. And yeah, you continue north for quite a ways where you're just like, did I take the right road? Did I miss turnoff? I don't know. Also some prairie dog towns along this road, quite large prairie dog towns, but they don't like Toyota Camrys apparently because they went and hid as soon as I tried to take footage or a picture of them. So here, some, again, more open range grazing, some cattle on the road. That little calf just like, whoa, it's a cow, and a black cow, and it's not moving like a normal cow, and he panicked. So yeah, kind of cute. And of course, traffic. And yeah, visibility ends for a little while. And then about here I was surprised, because I figured this was going to be gravel up until I got to the bridge, and it's not. There is some money in this area. If you tour this road, there are some incredible farmhouses that somebody might call a mansion. And the road right here is oiled down, so it doesn't produce dust. But very quickly, this oiled road turns into a paved road. Of course, we're parallel to the Yellowstone River. All these fields here are irrigated, and I'm going to guess with water from the Yellowstone. There we go, pavement. I'm going to guess with... No, that's not pavement. Sorry. But I'm going to guess it's irrigated with water from the Yellowstone River. It's incredible. I wish I could have my garden in a place like this, because wow. And seriously, you drive along, and whoop, there it is. Paved road. But again, there's money here. I have the feeling that a lot of the money comes from oil rather than farming. But those farms are gorgeous. I know the east end of the state has the really good soil, but wow, here on the Yellowstone River bottom, wow, wow, wow. I'll probably never have the money to buy land here, but damn, I wish I could have this for my garden. It is spectacular. So we continue north on County Road 1 for a really short while. I have edited a lot of time out of this. If you've been watching the timestamps, you see how much. And we're about to turn west. And this is a good example of why it's important to look at maps. Honestly, from reading all the descriptions and looking at the photographs, I assumed that the tunnel would be on the west end of the bridge, and it's not. It's on the east end of the bridge. The tunnel is in North Dakota. Yes, we will be almost, gosh darn it, on the state line, but it's all in North Dakota. Who knew? Very cool. That sign said there's poor visibility ahead. I don't know if it's because it's a hill or if there's road construction about to happen. I don't know. But we're going to go downhill here. And I'm showing this part. I'm dragging it out. Mostly because you're going to see the same bridge from the Cartwright Bridge. This bridge heads downhill. You're looking ahead into Montana. I'm not 100% sure where the Montana state line is, but, you know, who cares? It's Montana. It's not an important state. Sorry. But here I'm going to turn somewhere. This is Sondheim Park. We're going to go look at a bridge. So this bridge was built in 1913. The whole idea was to cross the Yellowstone River. They're going to connect New Rockford, North Dakota with some town in Montana. I don't care. And never really was successful. But it crossed the Yellowstone River, so they needed to be able to lift the bridge over the river to accommodate riverboat traffic, even though riverboat traffic was obsolete at the time, and it was like, awkward! So they built the lift bridge, even though they knew it was obsolete, and it was tested and never used again. Now, it served automobile and railroad traffic until the 1956, when they finally built a highway bridge. Not the bridge we crossed the second generation bridge. They actually had a guy stationed there to handle automobile and railroad traffic and say, no, you can't drive your Model T right now because we got a train a-coming. So what I will do here is I'm going to walk the bridge with my camcorder and make what remarks I may on the way. And then I'll get back in the car and we'll tour Fairfield and Cartwright and other such things. So it has a pretty decent parking area. And here are some informative plaques, which I photographed. They have a lot of text on them, so I'll read them later. And I am going up this way to get up to the bridge. Heading that way. You're looking straight down the Fairview lift bridge to the tunnel beyond, with the house overhead. Underfoot they have the old railroad ties. It looks like the tracks have been taken up. But believe it or not, this was a railroad bridge and an automobile bridge for a long time. That's looking south on the Yellowstone River. I came up parallel to that. And just for fun, they're working on a pipeline, I guess. I'm not sure what kind. And then there's this interesting water thing running parallel to the Yellowstone River. I don't know if it has to do with irrigation or what it is. I can't get any closer except through the magic of zoom. But 1997, this was placed in the National Register of Historic Places. And then above it there, 1913, American Bridge Company of New York. Look at the scenery here. This is a beautiful spot. And this is actually kind of interesting too. I'm going to guess that back when there was riverboat traffic, maybe this island wasn't here. Look at that. I'm guessing those are counterweights or something for the motor. I'm not 100% sure how this works. Thank God, look at that. Yeah, look at that. It's designed to lock in place. And I just presume it will slide. I'm going to just go out on a limb and guess that the pipe wasn't originally part of the bridge. Look, old platforms, so you can go up and I guess work on the motor? I don't know. Just so much stuff here. 1913 technology. And some people who probably are hearing me talking. And again, the river. I wish my grandfather could see this. He loved railroad stuff. It's for the pigeons now. Just barely in North Dakota right here. The river is not the border. The border is slightly beyond the river. I'm seeing a lot of these along my way. I don't know if those are old signals or what they were. Catwalk right above me. I think only a cat would want to walk on it. Leading to the next lift motor with all that concrete just hanging above me. So I guess I better run underneath it in case it comes down. And let's look more details. No idea how I'm going to edit this together yet. Oh, it looks like we didn't quite meet up where we're supposed to, but I think we'll be okay. And the view, I'm sure, is amazing. But right there on that cliff, I don't know if I'd want to build that close to the edge. Okay, now we're getting closer to the tunnel. This holds the record of being the longest railroad tunnel in North Dakota and the only. Although the bridge and the tunnel are the park, it's worth noting that it's a narrow ribbon going through private land. The tunnel itself, it's called the Cartwright Tunnel, is in a little bit of trouble. They're looking at a $2 million renovation to save it. I see a lot of money here because of the oil, and the farms are just amazing, but I don't know if they'll find the money or the will. But what a piece of history. And what a photographic challenge this thing. Ooh. Did you see that? I hope that camera caught that. All those birds came flying out. So this is the Cartwright Tunnel. I'll show you my flashlight because I have one. Ever been to Whittier, Alaska? I haven't. But I guess Whittier, Alaska, you approach through a 2-mile long tunnel like this, shared by automobiles and trains. A little graffiti. Local gang in Cartwright, North Dakota, I guess. But yeah, you can kind of see some of the issues. And look at the roof here. Wow. Yeah. more. Remember, all this was dug by hand in the First World War. It's getting further away. Definitely smelling the ammonia, bird droppings. They can really tear up a metal bridge. This is all wood, but it's falling apart. It needs restoration. See, there's some more trouble. For what it's worth, I turned on my lantern. Camcorder doesn't know if the lens cover's open or not, but I'm seeing less graffiti. And we're going around a bend, but I see light up ahead. There's some people up ahead with a dog. This is about the time when the dog should come up in the dark and stick his cold nose on my knee. Can you see it? More fun graffiti. Light is further away. But there's definitely visible light up ahead. I can't really see what's around me. Okay, honestly, I don't think I really needed to bring the lantern at all. Looking back the way I came, can't see the light. It is cool in here though, I'm getting a nice cool breeze. And then up ahead, look at that ceiling, kind of uneven. Again, on purpose, or is that part of it falling apart? I guess because, oh, there comes a bird. I guess because it's an entrance. I was hoping to see some bats. Oh, there's his home. Their bats are probably sleeping right now. Slight uphill climb here. So through the tunnel, I'll show you the back entrance in a bit. There's people there and I'm shy. I'll give you a look that way. Forgot I was zoomed in, so I don't know how well that worked. Okay, so I wasn't sure if I wanted to really do this, but I thought I'd, ooh. Yeah. you go there, not in my garden, buddy. I want to guess that's an owl. Dang, twice now. And I zoomed in because of that stupid deer. But anyway, this is quite a nice view here. I'm certain we're overlooking Cartwright. Oh, and we emerge on somebody's driveway. That's awkward. Back of their house. Yep, very awkward. This is the sign at the end of that path. So apparently it became private land, I just didn't notice. So we'll head back. Hopefully I don't get shot for trespassing. Don't lay down to rest there. Yes, we have cactuses in North Dakota. There's the tunnel up ahead. A little deceptive when you stand close to it. It looks a lot thinner on top than it does when you stand way back. So I'm back. Nobody shot me for trespassing, so I think I'm good. Took a few photos. I'm going to take a few more here. You know, it's more tunnel. You won't see as much of my return trip. Feel a cool breeze coming out of it. But yeah, definitely some problems there. We'll see how the return trip goes, maybe without bothering with the flashlight. It's really not that dark in here. I mean, it is in the middle, but not bad. Of course, the writer in me says, what could I use this for in a story? what is around that corner. I have watched The Walking Dead. Just past those people. I figured I'd better turn on my flashlight so I wouldn't scare them in the dark. Scared them when I turned it on. And we're back. All right, zoom shot. So there's the bridge. Hey, remember I said I saw a catwalk? This is how you get to the catwalk. I didn't notice that on the way in. Second flight up, and then up there, some bits missing from the catwalk. But again, I think it's only suited for a cat. So I have to say that was a pretty amazing thing to see. But all things come to an end. So since I was in the area, I decided to go visit Fairfield, Montana. That is not a very big town. It's about 700 people. And by the way, this is a Suntime Park, which is actually run in part by people from Fairfield, Montana, which is kind of interesting that a park in North Dakota is run by a town in Montana. So as you approach Fairfield, one of the cool things is they have a roundabout. And I'm seeing these pop up more and more all around North Dakota. I think it's a great thing for traffic flow. Just the whole design and physics behind them is awesome. And you're not sitting there at a red light or a four-way stop waiting. It keeps traffic moving. So yeah, I hope to see more roundabouts. And I will, because our civil engineers are discovering the joys. This is Main Street, Fairfield. I was really surprised to discover it is a 4-lane Main Street. I really don't know why. They must get more traffic than I think. I don't know. Well, the business section isn't that great. It's a typical small town. But by golly, it's a 4-lane Main Street. Now, this isn't one of those really pretty touristy towns. It's a fairly plain, ordinary, Great Plains sort of a town. Now, I was asked, since I was in the area, to go take a photograph of a certain church, which I did, and I discovered that Justin Bieber must be running for mayor here. So his voters are probably called Beliebers. That was a joke, by the way, for those of you who don't get my sense of humor. So coming back to Main Street, and that was the grocery store right there. Their grocery store is still on Main Street. Why can't my town have a grocery store on Main Street? But anyway, just headed west on Main Street. I could probably show you the rest of that video, but it's all the same. So I of course, since I'm a teacher, I had to go look at the school, and what an impressive school. And hey, they know, let's not do flat roofs in an area with lots of snow. Wish my school would figure that out. But yeah, very nice looking school. I don't know what it's like inside. I don't know what the students are like. I don't know much about it. But it looks good from the outside. We'll give it that. And there's apparently some construction going on. Because as I pass this side of the school, there's a big area that's all dug up, and then another building. So I'm wondering if it's like, this is the gym, or, I honestly, I just don't know what the story is here. So, fill in with your own ideas. So that was Fairfield, and now back across the river, we're back in North Dakota at Cartwright, North Dakota. This is a really small town. It's had a little bit of business added to it thanks to the oil boom. But yeah, not a lot of people living here. I did a quick swoop down Main Street. Not a lot to see, although there is a post office and a random well or something in the middle of Main Street, which I have not figured out. I did not see any kind of a school. I don't know if they go to school in Alexander They go to school across the river in Fairfield. I just don't know. That's the post office there to your left. But anyway, yeah. Went into Fairfield and swooped through some of their back streets. And yeah, not a whole lot to see back there. It's tiny. I don't know. I don't even know if all the houses in this town are inhabited. So anyway, you head west on Highway 200, and Highway 200 joins up with Highway 85. And last time I drove this Highway 85, it was a 2-lane highway. Not anymore. Now it's a 4-lane highway. Thanks, oil! Highway 85 also went through the town of Alexander. Now it goes around the town of Alexander. So I had to turn off Highway 85 to see Alexander and see what's become of it. I actually once almost applied for a job to teach here. I was just... well, yeah, that's personal. But anyway, at the time it had about 40 students, K through 12, and I looked at that and I said, oh, yeah, not a lot of job security there. Well, now they got up to about 350 students, K-12, struggling a bit because of the oil going down. By the way, that's the old school on your left. It's now a museum. But, you know, they've shrunk a bit since the oil boom went down. But, wow. I guess this town was pure hell during the oil boom until they got that bypass built. It just couldn't handle all the traffic. And, you know, it still doesn't have a lot of business. I think I'm glad I didn't end up applying for this job. I think my instincts of, ew, were right. Just for different reasons. And now that the oil boom is down, you know, it's possible this school may end up in trouble. And now that they've done a big addition, which we're going to see the big addition here in a minute, they might be sorry. But how do you plan for that? I mean, you got all these kids, you have to educate them, and then they get pulled away. What do you do? You want to maybe you try using like trailers as classrooms for a while, but parents don't like to see their kids in trailers. Teachers don't like to teach in trailers. What do you do? So the school was overbuilt for 40 kids, but wasn't big enough for 350 kids. So I swooped through the parking lot. This is the boring part of the swoop. And then I swooped back past the school. And I've always thought this is a nice looking school. You know, what can I say? Nice looking. And now it has an addition on it. They didn't used to have any of their own sports teams. Now they do. So, good for them on that, I guess. If you're all into the high school sports thing, I guess. Yeah. So, there's the addition back there. I think they added a bigger gym as part of the addition. And then, of course, some more classrooms because they needed them. But, yeah, there it is. Alexander, North Dakota. And my fingers. And I drove out through the back streets of Alexander, you know, with everything going on with the oil boom. They still haven't paved their streets. And they may be glad they didn't pave them. Because if everything goes back to the way it was, it'll just be like, well, glad we didn't spend the money that we don't have and we're still paying off. Some oil boom towns did make those kind of mistakes, and now they're on the hook for a lot of infrastructure spending that they can't afford. So if Alexander avoided that, good for them. And here I am rejoining Highway 85 because, like I said, they built a bypass around Alexander that didn't used to be necessary. So I'm back. I'm recording this on several different days. I am headed into Watford City right now. Watford City used to be about the size of the town I live in. Very small. I remember staying in a motel there, and OMG, not anymore. This town is flipping huge. Thanks, oil. So first thing I did is I headed into a strip mall that didn't used to be there. That corner I stopped at, there was never a need for a bypass around Watford City. This was never here. It's just like, holy cow, it can happen that quickly. And my town could get turned from a rural small town to this. So then I went and visited the high school, because of course that's what I do. I'm a teacher, so I had to go see it. New high school. One time they were thinking, hey, let's consolidate everybody into one building. Now they're up to 3 buildings, including this brand new one. And I look at this building and I'm just like, holy cow, that's huge. This is this is amazing. I can't even imagine teaching in a facility like this. You know, I come home to my small school and I'm just like, well, here I am back in the 60s, because my classroom was last touched in the 1960s. And I look at this, and I look at places like Legacy High School, where I took some classes this summer. It's just, yeah. So, now I could do a whole video on what this actually means to Watford City to go from being a town like mine, seriously, to being, I mean, here's the old Main Street. I'm about to turn onto it. Going from a small, rural, sleepy town like mine to being, they almost became a big school. Just barely missed it. They're still very big. I just can't even imagine. Now, I mean, social upending. Suddenly your house is worth a fortune. Your property taxes skyrocket. Your main street is nowhere near adequate. This is their main street. Nothing is as it seems. And all these big box businesses would like to relocate into your town. Yeah, I just can't imagine. I'm stammering, but I'm serious. And they had a nice high school before, but it just couldn't fit everybody. They put huge addition on the elementary school. They created a separate junior high school. It's a new world. And it happened so fast. I mean, I have lived in the town where I live now for 11 years, I guess. When I moved to this town, Watford City was a sleepy little town just like mine. And in 11 years, it has become a city. I mean, North Dakota city, not a New York city or something, but still, it just, culture shock, holy cow. And they're dealing with issues like homelessness, because students don't necessarily know where they're going to sleep at night. They're sleeping in trailers. I mean, some of that's getting cleaned up now that the oil boom has slowed down, but seriously! This right here is where Highway 85 used to go. It would turn here. Now there's a bypass because the traffic was so bad you would wait for hours in Watford City. So I'm glad I got out of there, headed south on Highway 85 to something magnificent. Watford City is in a spectacular location. At one time I actually almost took a job there. Thank God I didn't. Overlooks a valley created by the Missouri River. Or is it the Little Missouri? I can't remember. I want to say Little Missouri. I think I'm right. Little Missouri. It's Badlands. This is the north unit of Teddy Roosevelt National Park. And there is a south unit, but you won't see it in this video. North unit is Well, they're both spectacular, so I won't lie. The south unit is more touristy, the north unit is not. But the north unit has some really spectacular landscapes, and I am just not going to do them justice in this video. So, I paid $25 here just for you. Oh, okay, yeah, and for me, because I wanted to see it. I haven't been here in a few years. My driver's side window doesn't open, so I had to open and say, hey, I'm a redneck. I'm driving a 17-year-old Camry, and I can't open my window. But anyway, I'll just give you a few highlights. I need to do a separate video where I just explore this. And the south unit, which again, you're not going to see in this video. The dash cam just does not do this landscape justice. It flattens it so much. I won't delude you and say that we're in the Rockies or anything like that. But this is a really amazing landscape. And seriously, it is all formed by erosion. South Dakota Badlands are also impressive and definitely worth a visit. But so are the North Dakota Badlands. And you get to see all the layers, and this is quite an inspiring drive. It's not a loop, unfortunately, so you won't see much of the return trip because it's all the same stuff, just from a different direction. The south unit is a loop, and if you ever get to South Dakota, their Badlands, the drive through that is all a loop. So, yeah, kind of cool. So, right here, we're driving through a little bit of river bottom. I'm kind of surprised I saved this much footage. I saved a lot of this footage, and now I see why. Whoops. I didn't edit this clip, so I will edit now. So yeah, I just edited out about quite a lot of footage. I can't remember how much. Anyway, besides the Badlands and the driving, there are a lot of hiking trails which might be worth taking. I need to do that. I'm kind of thinking I'll take one or two maybe in the fall. Either here in the South Unit or in the Black Hills. I haven't 100% decided yet. There's forest. I mean, not forest as you'd think of it if you live on the East Coast, but definitely forest. They explain the geology here. They talk there. You'll see placards and things talking about plains geography and ecology and the action of glaciers. I think they did a good job overall with their explanations. I like coming up here. As I drove through it, I thought, why don't you come up here more often? And I don't have a good answer. Because I should. It's a beautiful, beautiful landscape. And as long as this drive has been, really to get here from my house doesn't take that long. So why not? So like I said, the trip back isn't super exciting. It's just kind of the reverse image of what we saw before. But let me just say that there is a lot to see. There's some history. There's a CCC camp that I won't be showing in this video. A lot of Badlands that you just can't see in this video. Here is a interesting little blurb about bentonic clay, which you wouldn't think would be interesting, but it is. There's just a lot to see here. These videos have a lot of history. And of course, when you head back on the same route you came on, you definitely see a different perspective. You know, I didn't see this valley and all the trees coming up. I mean, I knew they were there, but they didn't have the same impact on me coming up this hill as they do going down. That said, I think the solution in the South Unit is better, but it probably wasn't possible in the North Unit. So, I don't have anything intelligent to say about that, but just, you know, editorial choices make a big difference. So here we are back on the highway, Highway 85. I was going to stop for supper here at this truck stop. I knew I had a big buffet, but not anymore. As it turns out, thanks to oil dying down, this has died down a lot. The whole restaurant area was just empty. There was somebody back there doing book work, but yeah, No buffet, no nothing. And this whole parking lot was awful. I mean, I had to really watch where I was going with my car. So, anyway, I bought some gross food there, and I'm probably fatter because of it. Continued south on Highway 85 here. So I pulled into the Cenex in Belfield, North Dakota. Needed gas. There's no way I was going to get home and what was in my tank. Belfield isn't much. It's, yeah, I don't want to editorialize. That's a good restaurant there. I won't say great restaurant. It's okay. They serve some good food. They have kind of a pioneer type Lewis and Clark theme. It's called Trapper's Kellis. Not amazing, but it's decent food. But I'd already eaten gross food at that gas station, so I wasn't hungry. And then I continued south on 85. Here I'm actually headed west on 85 because it turns on my way home. So here I'm headed into Amidon, North Dakota. Amidon isn't much. It's Slope County seat. I started this video going through Marmarth. This is the other city. About, 20 people? 27 people? That's it. So yeah, Marmarth is the big city in Slope County. The county itself is really, 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 really rural. Now, in fairness, I'll be headed up to this county this weekend. And by the time you read this, I've already been there. They have the Slope County Fair, which is one of the oldest county fairs in North Dakota. So there is that. But yeah, there's just not much in Amidon. There's a bar to your right called Moe's Bunker. No, I'm sorry, that's to your left. To your right is the school. It doesn't have very many students. They are K through 8, but there just aren't that many of them. And yeah, I am continuing south, although right at this moment I'm headed east. I meant west there, but whatever. So anyway, back in the hood, as Bullfrog would say. That odd colored greenhouse was mine, and I am backing into my driveway, which Bullfrog doesn't do because apparently he has street parking, but whatever. I mean, I'm in a small town. I get to park on my lawn. And that's the neighbor's house, which has a new roof. So anyway, I am back in the hood, and I hope this filled in the gap till Bullfrog is able to get his audio video stuff working again. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.